What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Remote Real Estate Investor. I'm Michael Album, and today with me I have Andy Gurczak with AllCity Public Adjusting. And he's going to be talking to us today about what a public adjuster is and why anyone who owns property should consider using one if they have an insurance claim. So let's get into it. Andy, what's going on, man? Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. I really appreciate you coming on.
Mike, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure. It's fun to do these, so I'm excited.
No, it's truly my pleasure. You're the first, we've done, I think this is episode 300 and change, and you're the first public adjuster we've had on. So anyone who knows me knows that I'm a total insurance nerd and insurance buff. So, but for anyone who's not familiar, what is a public adjuster? And can you kind of give us a quick and dirty of what you're doing in real estate?
First of all, bravo on 300 episodes plus. That's awesome. So
thanks.
Good for you guys. And I'm lucky PA, so this is pretty cool. So public adjuster is licensed by the state. He's legally able to represent the insured in their claim process, negotiate and settle the loss for them, whether it's commercial, residential. It's basically like having an attorney on your side or an accountant doing your books. It's the same exact thing. They're licensed by the state that they work in as well.
Okay. And I mean, it just seems like kind of counterintuitive. I go and pay an insurance company every single month, every single year to give me insurance. Then when I have a claim, an insured claim, I go to the insurance company and said, hey, insurance company, here's this claim. Pay me for the claim, what I'm owed. So why do I need a public adjuster? Why does your job even exist?
Yeah. That's a great question. The reason our job exists is because insurance companies don't pay claims and don't pay them fairly. We've talked about this before the show, Mike. You work the insurance side, so you know that claims. Yeah. Actually, two people that work in our office work the insurance side, and they seen how bad it got and came to our side because claims are handled. Horribly. Every year it gets worse and worse. And we just had a meeting with a couple attorneys just discussing what's going on and what we could do in some situations because it's getting so bad that insurance companies aren't responding for a month or 2 months or just so having a PA on your side, even though it's your claim and you have to remember that insurance adjuster, that staff adjuster, and everyone that they send out, every vendor, contractor they send out, they all get paid by the insurance company. So they're all working for this one entity. And then you're by yourself and you're thinking, well, they're on my side. No, they're not on your side. It's all about profits, margins, all that good stuff. So,
yeah, I know. And it's so, the word I'm going to use is sick when you find out kind of what's going on under the hood. It's really what should be a partner relationship. Like you mentioned, everyone on the same team working for the same goal can become very contentious very quickly. So you said it's like having an attorney or like having a bookkeeper on your side. I mean, it sounds expensive. How much do public adjusters charge? How does that work?
Easy. Yeah. PAs most of the time charge a contingency fee. So there's no retainers, nothing. It's all contingency on what they recover and what the claim settles for. And standard is 10%. Like our company has adopted just a 10% nationwide, whatever claim we're handling, whatever the size is. Now, some situations where we come in, let's just say months after, a year after, and the claim has been paid and we're just trying to figure out maybe another coverage or paid additional, then it might be a higher fee of maybe 20-25 on the money that we recover above that amount. That would kind of be the only difference.
Okay. And so just so we get it crystal clear for all of our listeners, because I just went through this on a claim, two fire claims I had on a property. If the insurance company comes into my claim and says, hey, Michael, we're going to give you $100,000 for your claim. And I'm like, there's no way. It's got to be worth way more than that. You will come in, or a public adjuster comes in, you end up getting me $1 million. You're going to take 10% of that additional $900K that you got me above and beyond what I was originally awarded. Yeah,
exactly. And something in your situation. So when we have claims and we have large investors and management companies, we have a pay scale that actually the percentage goes down once it reaches a certain amount. So if it reaches $500,000, that 10% may become 9, right? For every client, we kind of work with them just because we kind of know their position. And again, we want to create a relationship that it's long-term because then we're getting called before the claim even starts, right? Because we want to be there. Another question is, when do you want to hire a PA? Like the day you have a claim, because you want to make sure if that claim is a legit claim, if you should even file that claim, whatever your deductible is it even a covered loss? A PA will, we do this for our clients all the time, review their policies, review their claims without making any money or charging any fee. It's just part of our relationship with our clients.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought that up, Andy, because I get this question all the time because so many people don't like insurance education is not something that's really provided out there. And I'm wondering if that maybe is on purpose by the insurance companies. But like, how should people, if they have something happen to their property, and statistically, if you own a property or enough properties long enough, you will probably have a claim. So what's the process? Like, if you could articulate and paint us a picture of as a property owner, whether it's our own property or an investment property, what should that process look like? What should owners be doing? Who should they be talking to?
Yeah, if you don't have a PA and you're kind of going to try to do this on your own, you want to first up, whatever loss happens, you want to mitigate the loss, right? You want to get first, you want to get a copy of your policy too. You want to see if your agent, because you most likely don't have a copy, because no one knows that they don't have a copy until they have a loss, and they're like, "Oh, I have this page." I'm like, "Yeah, it's your declaration.
Right.
You need your policy, your booklet, you know." No one gets that usually until something happens, and then it's hard to get it from the insurance company. It's like they don't want to give you your own policy. Very normal. Then you want to mitigate the loss. So if it's a fire, you want to board it up, protect it, make sure no one can get in there. Or if it's a roof, you want to cover the roof. If it's a roof claim, and then you want to go and take pictures and document as much as you can, and then call the claimant. And when you're calling the claimant, you're trying to set the reserves high enough. So then when they come in, and let's just say you have a $100,000 loss, but when you told them the claim, you might have said, well, it's a small fire in the kitchen, small smoke. They might have set the reserves at 25,000. And now the claim's actually 100. So now when we're trying to fight it, we're going through 5 managers. Like for example, with State Farm, for example, once it goes past the reserves, you're going through ladders, like 5 managers to approve one payment or one extra additional line item. It gets really crazy. So the most important is mitigating the loss, getting your policy, reserving the claim, calling the claimant right. And if you don't know the answer when you're discussing that claim, when you're calling it in, just say, I don't know. Because a lot of people get into trouble by trying to say too much, to be too honest. And it's not about being honest or not or lying, but people say the wrong words. They might use the word like mold. I see mold. Oh, well, mold's not covered. Here's a denial letter. Well, the water happened 3 days ago. Yeah, there's mold because, it's wet, it's humid, mold's catching up. But there's still water damage that's covered. So different words they use. So you got to be careful with words used. So you want to do your due diligence or even call your agent to call that claim in for you if you need help.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because in the agent world, you have captive and non-captive agents. And so just like you were saying, all of the vendors are paid by the insurance company. I mean, in a lot of instances, aren't these agents paid by the insurance companies as well?
100%. And I have friends that are agents and I know people that are agents. And agents have a bonus if their clients don't file claims. So there is a bonus, there's a perk of them if their clients don't have claims correct. So everyone's got a benefit if the claim is not filed and if it's underpaid. Everyone gets a bonus on that.
So can we surmise that if you have a claim, you should just call a public adjuster immediately?
100%. Because it's a free review. What's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to come in there and say, don't file it. You don't have to sign with that PA, but at least get that expertise. Now, you want to make sure you find the right one. But if you do, you have him look at it in depth, look at the claim, inspect the roof, inspect the fire damage, inspect the water damage, and let you know everything you should do.
Yeah. I had my first big claim, 2 of them back to back a couple of years ago. I had 2 fires in a commercial building back to back, a week apart, and I used to work as a professional fire protection engineer, and it's like statistically impossible to have that happen. I'm the one exception, right? And so I went through the claim process. I had the insurance company come out, do their inspections. They're like, oh, it's small fire. Just like you said, teeny tiny claim payout. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't even cover the materials that were sitting on the roof when I had the roof fire. So I brought in a public adjuster and they, about 15x'd the claim. So I can't sing their praises enough. When someone is searching for a public adjuster, and you just mentioned this, you want to find the right one, like what does that process look like? What questions should people be asking?
I've never been on the other side. When I look and talk to our clients, how they found us, obviously they were looking online, Googling and stuff, and they were doing a search engine and we came up. Online. We do a lot of blogs and stuff, so we'll come up there with a lot of tips and stuff for people so they'll find our name. Otherwise, if you're not looking online, you can check websites like TAPIA, which is Texas Associations of Public Insurance Adjusters. California has their own. Some states have their own. There's the NAPIA, National Association of Public Insurance. So there's different associations that you could go on and find adjusters, PAs that have been screened and have backgrounds and pay their dues because they're part of an organization. So that would be your best bet. Referrals, again, if I knew you, I'd say, hey, Mike, you had a couple fires. Did you hire, who's a PA? You have someone to recommend.
Yep.
That's your best bet. Someone that they worked for, referral.
That has had the actual experience with them.
Yep.
Okay. Are there certain questions that someone should be asking? I mean, what separates the different PAs that are out there? Because I'm sure if I Googled, I would get tons of different results. Is one better than the other? Like, is it just based on the fee structure? What should people be considering if they're going to hire someone?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So a lot of what you should be asking, and when you go online and look for PAs, a lot of them say, fire, water, they do all these claims. But 90% of PAs handle just roofing claims, usually residential, some commercial. So it's you have to make sure that, hey, do you handle fires, and how many fires have you handled, or what do you specialize in? They might say, well, we do a lot of roofs. That's not the PA. If you had a fire, you don't want the guy that's handling roofing claims, right? For us, we do large loss, fires, water, hurricanes. We don't. If someone calls for a residential roof, we don't do residential roofs. We would love to, but we don't. We don't specialize it. There's other PAs that do a great job. Here's a couple of names you can call or Google and find the probable adjuster that's in that. It's just like an attorney. Some attorneys do personal injuries, some do properties. Same thing with PAs. Some PAs are better at some coverage than others, other peril. So.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Andy, let me ask you a question, because it happened to me, and I'm curious now with the hindsight what the proper move is. So I had this fire, and it was on the roof, and it was during a re-roof. So they had all the materials up there. So all the materials burned up. And my public adjuster said, don't touch anything on the roof. He said, we got to come out. We got to photograph everything. We need to take care, we need to document everything. And meanwhile, it's really windy. There's debris blowing onto the neighbor's property, into their courtyard and their fence. And so the neighbors calling me, complaining, threatening to sue. They got crap blowing everywhere. And I'm like, I can't. It's like an active insurance investigation. Yeah. So you were talking about you want to mitigate the loss, stop the loss from getting any worse. But aren't there instances where physically mitigating the loss then is like evidence tampering is the wrong word, but you understand is changing the scene. So
double-edged sword.
Yes.
It's a double-edged sword. We walk into properties all the time and, or let's say we go into a hurricane area right now in Florida and we see people outside with all their contents, right? Like all their house stuff just in a pile. And I'm like, did you guys, or their material, everything's gutted. I'm like, did you guys inventory, take pictures? Well, no, but the insurance company said to just throw everything out. That's the worst idea ever. That's what they want. You just got rid of all your evidence. So that's a double-edged sword. So when I say mitigate, you're supposed to mitigate the loss because they can technically, your duties after loss say you will mitigate. So if you don't, they can deny it. But what's mitigate, right? If I had a pipe burst from the third story, water comes, just floods my whole house, right? The insurance company is going to want to send a vendor out to pull some drywall or spray everything or dry everything and leave it. That's their goal. That's mitigation. But mitigation is you turning off the water. That's already mitigation. Because it doesn't specify what technically mitigation is. It just says mitigate. So by me turning off the water, I mitigated the loss. And I will tell my insured, just leave it. Because it's already all damaged. Whether you dry it or not, that's just going to go against your thing. It's already damaged. It can't be, it's category 3 water. So it's got to be all replaced. So instead of paying a vendor all this money, this has got to be gutted. And all that money should just go to you instead of that vendor. So yeah, there is instances. So in your situation, because we have insurance calling us saying, Andy, can we start rebuilding? Well, no, because we're still fighting with the insurance company and we're still negotiating. And if you start the repairs, then you can't. That's what they want. They want to keep holding until you actually accept it and start the repairs. Now, if they don't start the repairs, then they'll go, well, why didn't the insured start the repairs? Right? So we're trying to keep our clients in the best situation to make sure it's the best possible outcome. But it's hard sometimes, especially with landlords when they have tenants, right? Hey, my tenant is going to sue me, or my tenant's going to go this if I don't do the repairs.
Right.
Then do the repairs, I guess, and this is the settlement we're getting. So, an insurance company knows this. So,
yeah.
In your situation, that's a tough call. What do you say? Like either the PA is saying, hey, we got to do it this way, and he was doing it the right way. Because if you did mitigate or clean up that thing and they come in, they're like, there's nothing here. Even
there's
with
nothing
photos.
Here.
Even if you document it, I'm telling you, it's like they don't even look at your photos. They don't care.
Yeah.
So they did the right thing.
Okay,
So
well, that's good to hear. I'm gonna go send them another thank you text after this episode.
Yeah.
Andy, can you give us like maybe two scenarios, two stories that you've experienced? One where things went perfectly well or as good as they could have gone, and what you're insured, what your clients did to get there, and then maybe a scenario at the opposite end of the spectrum where things just like give us like the worst thing you've ever seen happen, just so we have a little bit of context.
Part of like claim handling, or like, okay, so I'll tell you, we were just, like I said, we had the attorney, we were kind of going over claims, and we have one, and I won't say the insurance company. This is in Gary, Indiana. This poor lady, the way her claim has been handled, and it's by an adjuster that we've seen handle bad claims for other people in that area. Whether it's color, race, area, I don't know, but the way this claim has been handled, this lady, the under oath and everything she's been through, like we thought we had it all over. They finally, after 6 months, say, okay, we'll pay the claim and here's the money. We got to argue with them. They started at $30,000. It's a $160,000 claim. But then we have contents, another $160,000 that we sent months ago. And now we're asking what's going on with the contents. And they come back, well, which was the insured and which was her daughter's? Why does it matter? If you had a fire, Mike, and you have your kids and your wife's stuff in the house, that's all personal property. They're not on the policy.
No.
Are your kids on the policy? No.
Yeah.
No kids are on the policy. But their stuff is covered, right? So why are they asking her? So now they want to examine her again and her mom. So this is going to drag on for 10 months, 11 months. So this claim is ongoing. So to me, it's like, well, now I'm powerless as a PA. What can I do? So the only way is an attorney can help. But again, she's still going to have to do the examination. But it just shows how long they'll drag it and try to find ways of however to underpay or just deny that claim. So that's bad. Yeah, and we have a bunch of those. So those hurt. A lot of them we win. This one, again, we got the structure paid and figured out. Now we thought the contents was going to be a slam dunk, easy. Here's everything. Even your vendor said, you can't clean this stuff. Great. Here's the list. Here's the pricing, age of items. And now they come back with this. So another tactic to delay the claim. On a good note, we had one. It was from another podcast. One of the investors' students called us. He got the number to us and he called us. He had a 16 unit in Champaign, Illinois, burnt down. He had an ACV policy. You are familiar with actual cash value. Your listeners might not, but meaning he would not recover depreciation. He would not get that amount even if he rebuilt. So he was just getting what it's worth now. So that building, he had a 550 limit. The adjuster came in, he wrote like 560, and they depreciated it, cut him a check for maybe $300,000, something like that. So when we got hired, we sent our letter of representation, and the adjuster called and said, hey, Andy, I paid this to Max, so I don't know why he hired you. I'm like, well, you didn't pay loss of rents, and also you haven't paid demolition expense, and you only paid $300 when it's a 550 policy. You stop writing because our estimate is like $900,000 with no like added, like this is just it. So then we reconcile and the insured ended up getting 100%. So 550 plus 5% debris removal, some other endorsements plus ALE maxed out, everything. So he ended up walking away with another 400, like 300,000.
Nice.
So again, when an adjuster says, we don't need you. And again, there's many claims like that. Those are the positives. It's the ones that drag on and that you're close, but they're still like delaying. And it's like they want that insured to just finally say, okay, well, I'm done. I'll just take it.
To throw in the towel. Yeah.
It sucks. And, there is statutes in each state, which they have to follow, but it's never followed because no one ever calls them out on it. Because unless you actually go to court or litigation, that's when they show, okay, well, they didn't do this, they didn't do this. But other than that, they don't really, they kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, because they're so big. Andy, you bring up a really good point, ACV versus replacement cost. For anyone that's not familiar with the two, give us from like the PA side of things, what is the benefit of one versus the other? Because I'm sure your clients have seen, like the reason your client probably had the ACV was because the replacement cost value on that 17 unit or 15 unit was just probably astronomical. Yeah. So it's often a cheaper policy to get. Like, what's the downsides of going with one versus the other? And what risks do people run by choosing one versus the other?
So the risk here is with the actual cash value policy. And most policies are RCV based. And then they have the actual cash value endorsement that says we only pay actual cash value. What happens is why you would do that policy, where some people might get that policy, and our insured wasn't even aware of it, but the agent sold it to him, didn't explain to him the differences. He didn't even know that he had that actual cash value policy. So, that's another story. He went on his own. But so what happens is it saves you a lot on your premium, especially if you're an investor, you're trying to make margins, and, it could save you on a property like that, 2, 3, 4,000 a year.
Right.
Well, it's great until you actually have a loss. When you do have a loss, it's cut, especially on older buildings, it's cutting your payment by half, and you can't recover that money because it's actual cash value. So if the replacement cost of, your home today is $300,000, but the actual cash value after depreciation, your actual cash value is $150. Well, you're only getting that $150. Even if we got the settlement of $300 with the insurance, your policy will only allow for the actual cash value of $150, which will leave you with only half the money to rebuild. So you're always, as an insured, you should always have a replacement cost policy. And now they have, different like guaranteed replacement cost and all this other. Openly insurance actually has it. And they don't even have, it's guaranteed replacement. Plus they don't even have a limit. I think if it's up to one, there's no limit on Structure A.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So there's some new carriers that are really, really, really good actually.
Okay. And that brings me to my next point, and I'm so glad you brought it up. Should folks be involving public adjusters in their insurance carrier decisions as they're looking to go place insurance on properties?
I would hope so, because all we do is read policies every day. All I do is read policies and interpret policies. So I know, so when I'm looking at a policy, I'm like, well, you have a good policy, but you have a finished basement. You don't have any water backup. Your roof is actual cash value only. Oh, I didn't know that. There's a lot of stuff you should be aware. So yeah, our longer term clients will actually inspect their properties, look at their policies, make sure they don't have any exposed liabilities, right? Now, it's not our job, it's the agent's job. But most of the agents now are just, selling policies instead of actually doing their due diligence and ensuring the claim the right way, the insured.
Yeah. I just want to echo exactly what you said for all of our listeners. Now, the public adjuster that I worked with on these fire claims, I send him every policy and every quote that I get for properties. And he told me, he's happy to do it. He's yeah, this is a great carrier, but this is the other thing. And also he can tell me hey, I've run up against this insurance carrier. We see them all the time. Right. They don't pay claims. We're going to be working together a lot more if you have a claim, if you go with this company, which is super great insight to have.
That's awesome. And that's the same thing I would say. I would say this carrier, we have this many claims every year, and maybe it's a lesser policy and it takes longer, but they'll pay the claims, right? These guys just don't pay. Or I have a list of insurance companies that I know that are easier to deal with. Now, is your claim guaranteed going to be paid when you file a claim with them? No. It still might be a hard process, but they're much easier than these 8 other carriers that they're out there.
Yeah. This has been so great. Andy, my last question for you, man. How many claims do you handle a year? Just out of curiosity, so we can give people an idea of volume.
We do over 1,000 claims a year.
And how many public adjusters in your office?
Right now we have 4. And we just keep growing. We do a good job marketing and building our social media presence. And yeah, it's good. And I mean, I guess it's bad for the insurance. That means claims are getting handled bad. But yes, tactically, our business grows and we get more calls.
That's awesome. And I want you to share with everyone your contact information where people can get a hold of you. And then what kind of I know you said you don't do residential roofs, but what kind of claims should people consider reaching out to you for?
Any fire, water claims, whether it's broken pipes, sewer backup, we can inspect those, or at least advise sewer backups usually, or water backup limit. They usually have a limit. So if I see your limit is 10,000. I look at the photos of basement. I'm like, well, you max out the limit. You don't need a PA. This one's just a max policy, easy. A lot of people that call us, if we get 2 calls, 3 calls a day of clients that we just kind of give them advice, because there's no need for a PA in some instances, but we can give them at least advice and help them out. But fire claims, hurricane, even commercial roofs, we do commercial roofs a lot. Residential roofs is just the one thing we don't really do, just because we don't have the staff to do it. So
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. And for people that want to reach out, learn more about you,
Yeah.
or take advantage of your services, what's the best way for them to do so?
The easiest way is my cell phone. It's literally for your clients. They can, for your listeners, they can call me. It's 708-655-4186, 708-655-4186. That's literally my cell phone. They can text me, call me. I'm really easy to get a hold of. While I still can, I'm able to give my phone away. So write it down, because later on I might have to switch it, or I might not be able to give my phone away if my wife gets mad with more calls.
Well, I hope you're so busy that happens.
So yeah, no, so far okay. Wife's not getting mad, so.
Awesome. Andy, thank you so much, man. This was super great. Anyone watching the video could tell I'm super giddy talking about insurance stuff. It's so great to meet someone that's also as giddy. So no, I really appreciate the time.
No, it's fun to actually have a host that actually knows that area, and yeah, it's fun. You know it, you've been through it now yourself, so you kind of know what we do and what a PA can help. So
yes,
good,
big time. Well, thanks again, man. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Mike, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone. That was our episode with Andy. A big thank you to him for coming on and sharing some great information, some great knowledge and wisdom with us. Definitely, if you are someone that is going through an insurance claim or will go through an insurance claim in your lifetime with the property you own, definitely consider hiring a public adjuster. They are worth their weight in gold. As always, if you enjoyed the episode, please feel free to leave us a rating or a review. We'd love to hear from you all in the comments section on ideas on future episode topics, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Happy investing.